Welcome to another board game review from theplayersaid.com. I'm Grant. Today I have played solo the Lost Expedition from Osprey Games, which is a new cooperative game that has a couple different ways to play it, but a new game that came out in April of this year. As you can see from the box, it is a jungle exploration game. In the 1930s, a famous explorer by the name of Percy Fawcett went to discover the famous lost city of El Dorado, which he simply referred to as the City of Z, and he was lost, never to return. So this game takes on the goal of trying to reach and find the lost city of El Dorado or the City of Z, not necessarily to find Percy Fawcett and his group as they're assumed dead, but you're going to take the same trek that they did. You're going to explore the jungle with a different cast of characters who have different expertise, and you're going to try to manage your resources and your cards in order to be able to make it to your end goal. So as you can see, this is a card game. It is a card game that can be played solo, alone with a various set of rules. It can also be played cooperatively. And let me double check. 1 to 5 players can play this game, but you can play it cooperatively, and then you can play it kind of semi-cooperatively, where you actually have 2 teams of 2 kind of playing against each other. So the game is really, you either make it or you die. In the solo version, there is a scoring option, but once again, you still died, so I don't know why it really matters that you score. But this is a very, very challenging cooperative game. One of the hallmarks, I believe, of a well-designed and a fun cooperative experience is it a challenge? Has it been designed such that when you play it, are you going to win every time and win fairly easily, or is it truly going to be a challenge? And I think for our group, we often say, a good cooperative game is a challenging cooperative game, one that you may not win often, particularly one that you may not win sitting down for the first time. The other evening, we played for the first time cooperatively Nemo's War from Victory Point Games, and we got crushed. So that was an example of a well-designed game. We haven't played it since, but that game is definitely a challenge. I would tell you that this game is also a challenge. We've played it, I believe, 3 times cooperatively with 3 of us. We actually ended up winning 1 out of 3. So if that holds true, we're going to win about 3 out of 10. And I think that probably most definitely puts this in that challenging cooperative level. There are some cooperative games that I've played in the past that you win going away, you win handily, and it's not even really a challenge. But this game, to be honest, where its beauty lies is in the fact that while there is no table talk about the cards that each player has in their hand, there is table talk about how best to navigate the dangers presented to the group in the adventure path. And I think that's the greatest part. Once again, you're not trying to share information about the cards you have in your hand or trying to gain information about your fellow adventurers' cards, but you're simply trying to look at the different ways that you can navigate and get through the adventure that is beset with dangers. So as you can see here in front of me, this is the adventure track. These are cards numbered 1 through 9 on the back, you can see there. They are laid out. This is the beginning of the adventure. You can see our adventuring meeple is there. And then this is the end, or the city of El Dorado. In order to move from point A to the end, you've got to accomplish tasks located on cards that are going to be placed before you that have the advance icon. And there are any number of icons that you have to overcome, but you have to eventually advance down this path by accomplishing one of those tasks that are shown up on those cards. So the way the game works is players are dealt one of the many characters. These characters, if you can see in the upper right corner, have what is called an expertise icon. This happens to be Roy, who his expertise is the jungle. The others have navigation as well as camping. So there are 3 types of expertise icons contained on the cards. Those expertise icons are used to sometimes meet or satisfy the requirements of a card that you come upon. They can be met by losing a health of that character, or they can be met by obtaining a card from the adventure path, by accomplishing a task, placing that card in your reserve, and then using that icon specifically to match up with the required icon on the card that is in your path. Each of these heroes has a certain amount of health, depending on the variety of the game that you're playing. I believe in the cooperative game, you have 4 health. In the solo game, each of these 3 characters had 3 health. When their health is reduced to 0, guess what happens? They die. It can be reduced from cards. It can be reduced by spending a health associated with the expertise icon on their card to complete a task, or somebody's going to have to lose a health at the end of a morning or an evening phase where they don't have food to eat. Someone's going to lose a health. So that's the way when they're dead, they are dead and out of the game. They are turned over, rest in peace there, Roy, and they are no longer included in the game. If all adventurers included in the game are killed, the party loses. If the party reaches the end, they win. If they've gone through the deck twice and still have not found El Dorado, they will lose. So those are the 3 ways that the game can end. And I'll tell you, this game is pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I'm not a huge solitaire gamer, but I have played this a couple of times solitaire. Have yet to win solitaire. I think this is my 3rd solitaire game. Haven't even really come close. But it is a very good challenge, and I find that it offers a lot of interaction, particularly in the cooperative mode. So let's talk a little bit about how the game plays. You're going to create, each player is going to have a certain amount of cards in their hand, and then they're going to use those cards, playing those cards without discussing those cards, down to create what is called the adventure path. On the adventure path, each of those cards will have several different types of challenges and icons. There are some which are mandatory. These red boxes are mandatory. You must do any one of these 3 challenges in this red box to move beyond this card. The yellow ones, or tan, are also mandatory or compulsory. You have to accomplish this. So in order to accomplish this, you're going to have to spend a navigation expertise token, either from one of your characters by losing a health, or from a card that you've collected and placed in your reserve. When these cards are done, they are spent. They go into the spent pile. You then simply move on to the next card. Rinse and repeat until you finish all the cards that are shown in your adventure path. Some of these cards take resources from you or require that you spend them. Some of them also give you resources. For example, here is a card. It's called Cougar. We had a good joke about this one. It really should have a picture of a middle-aged woman in there. Sorry, bad taste. Don't hate me. But you'll notice in this box, maybe you can't see it, in order to defeat the Cougar card, the party must spend a bullet, and you start with a certain amount of bullet resources. Very hard to find, by the way, in the jungle. You have to spend a bullet resource, and then you gain a navigation icon. This is one of those cards that you're going to place in your reserve. You can then use that card in the future as a navigation requirement in order to pass a future test. You also, if you don't have a bullet to spend, you can then go on to the next challenge, which that challenge also shows a jungle expertise icon. If you have a jungle expertise icon card, you can discard that, or you can pay a health from your character in your party that has the jungle expertise. So that's the way those cards work. In the morning phase, there's a morning and an evening phase in each day. During the morning phase, the cards, when they are played, they are going to be rearranged based on the numbers printed in the bottom right-hand corner. So the lower the card, the further to the left it's going to move in the path. The higher the card, it's going to move to the right. So this can also be strategic As you're getting ready to play a card that is in your hand, you can survey the path and you can look at your numbers and the challenges that are associated. You may see that one of these very first cards that have been played, because that's all your opponent had, or something that was drawn from the deck, you may need a food icon, and if you don't have food, you're not going to be able to pass that very easily. You may then play a lower valued card than that card from your hand in front of it. You're going to have to then overcome that challenge in order to get to that next card. So there's a lot of that. That's during the morning phase. During the evening phase, you're actually going to take the cards in the order that they've been played by the players. So when they are laid out, that's what's going to happen. Many times the cards have icons on them that allow you to reshuffle the location of certain cards. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to find one that would either kill you, do serious damage, or that you can't complete at that time. You're going to want to relocate that with another card that maybe allows you to get the resources to then take care of that trial later on in the game. You're also going to have icons that add cards to the end of the line, that will delete cards, the next card, or have you skip the next card, or even sometimes two cards. So trying to play those, it's a puzzle, trying to figure out when to play those so that you can get around obstacles that frankly are unbeatable and that are going to lead to your death and the loss of the game. Really like that element. It is a real challenge. In the interactive cooperative game, it led to a lot of interaction between us. Once again, not talking about the cards that we have in our hand, because that would be cheating, but talking about how to overcome the resource or the challenges that are in front of you. That was really fun. I missed that in the solo game. I didn't have that level of interaction, and I frankly missed it. So that's the way the game works. At the end of the morning and the evening phase, you have to spend a food. Everyone has to eat. If you cannot spend a food, someone has to lose a health. If they lose all of their health, they are dead. Once again, game ends when all players are dead, you've gone through the deck twice, or you've reached the end of the path. The most important icons, and I will find one to show you, are the advance icons. And they're not overly rare, but they're also not overly common. So here you will notice there's an advance icon. It is simply an icon of a hiker with a walking stick and a backpack. It also is associated with some form of a task. You must accomplish that task. Once you do, you're going to discard that card, and you are able to advance one space on the journey towards El Dorado. Those are very important. We found that if those ever came up, boy, we tried as hard as we could to make sure that we could advance. We were very cautious because we didn't want to throw all caution to the wind and die. But if we could get one or two advances a hand, we felt like that was very important. And the one game that we won, we did advance significantly. I think it was the first round. We got 3 spaces, a couple of spaces in the second. The draw of the cards was favorable to us, and we simply happened to have the resources required. So that's the way you're going to win the game. So once again, don't sacrifice everything to advance one space, but you've got to consistently be advancing. The other things that we really liked about the game were the components. As you can see, the cards are big. They are nicely illustrated with, I believe I've done some research online, and this is called the 1010 style. 1010 was a cartoon character, I think, in the 20s and 30s, and this art style mimics that. So once again, it kind of helps immerse me back in the 20s and 30s when this game took place. Great colors. You can see the icons. I'm sorry, I turned that. The icons are very clear. It's very easy to understand that iconography, so you understand where you need to go. The cards also shuffle very nicely. Let me give you an example of that. I think they shuffle very, very nicely. And because they're thicker and well printed, I think they're going to live up to quite a few plays and will not be something that wears out quickly. So the components are great. We think the gameplay is very fun, although once again, it's a severe challenge. I think this game will appeal to those that, one, like cooperative games. So if you are a co-op game fan, this is a very difficult and challenging co-op. You're going to take this and most likely win 2 or 3 times out of 10. probably less than that until you figure the basics of the game out. So very challenging. If you're into those kinds of games, I would recommend you go out and get this. Also, I would recommend this if you're looking for a 30 to 40 minute filler game. Once again, this is a game that requires some thought, requires some effort, requires some teamwork, but it's not really overly deep. The rules are fairly quick and easy to understand. The rulebook is laid out very well. The iconography is very good, and you're going to be able to play this. So it's a filler that I think will make a nice addition to anyone's collection. One other comment I would make, these are great player aids. They show you the resources and how to spend and gain resources. They also show you the different iconography and the meanings of the different icons. So you're able to refer to these easily and quickly. You'll notice that the player aid is two-sided, and I don't actually like that. I wish that I could have laid them both out side by side, and there are only two of them. So a game that advertises itself up to 5 players, I wish they would have added a couple more of these player aids and made these single-sided such that you could lay them out and see all of the actions and icons at a readily available so that you can move the game forward. Other than that, really enjoyed my experience both cooperatively, and solo with this game, and I urge you to go ahead and get a copy. So you can also check out our unboxing video that was posted about a month ago to get a better look at each of the components. You can check out this review video and then go to our website at theplayersaid.com. Soon we will have a written review of the game out, sharing our thoughts on the gameplay and the components so you can get a deeper look into what we thought of the game. So if you're interested, go ahead and check that out. If you like the video, go ahead and like it or subscribe to our YouTube channel. The more the merrier. We've been building up subscribers over the last year and a half. We're appreciative of those who watch our videos and hope that you continue to do so. So thanks for watching with me. I'm Grant from Players Aid. Have a great day.